Ever found that list of New Year's resolutions you wrote back in January, only to realize you didn't even complete 20% of them? You look at your own promises and think, wow, I really believed I would do all this. You're not alone. Most people abandon their annual goals before March even rolls around, and the reason isn't a lack of willpower. It's about how our brains perceive time. We often live in what I call drag mode, with vague goals stretched out over 12 long months. It's as if the year is an endless road where any single week doesn't really matter. But our brains don't work well that way. Our brains perform at an incredibly high level when they feel a sense of urgency and meaning. Just think about the end of December at your job. Deadlines are looming, projects have to be closed out, and suddenly you accomplish more in 2 weeks than you did in the previous 2 months. Why? Because the deadline is now and your brain finally cares. There's a simple scientific principle behind this. It's called temporal discounting. This means your brain values a reward less and less the further it is in the future. A reward next year feels weak and abstract. A reward this week feels powerful and real. Over time, this quiet bias slowly drains the motivation for those distant goals. Neuroscience shows us that your brain uses 2 different systems to value rewards. First, you have the fast reward circuit, the ventral limbic system. This includes an area called the nucleus accumbens, which lights up for immediate or near-term rewards and releases dopamine, that chemical that signals motivation and makes you want something. Then, you have the frontoparietal control network. This is your brain's slow, deliberate planning and self-control system. It can compare long-term options, but it takes effort. When your goal is 12 months away, the planning system is working all by itself. The fast reward circuit is snoozing. It feels like you're driving with the handbrake on. So, the solution is to bring the deadline close enough to wake up that reward circuit, while still having a clear plan for your control system to follow. Interestingly, high-performance coaches discovered a method that does exactly this back in the 1970s. It's called periodization. Instead of training every skill all the time, athletes focus intensely on one key skill for 4 to 6 weeks, then move to the next. This short, focused cycle mirrors the way the brain prefers to work. Narrow focus, short horizon, and frequent feedback. You can use this exact same idea for your life and your work. The sweet spot for most people is 90 days or 12 weeks. A deadline that's too short, say 2 weeks, doesn't allow for meaningful change. A deadline that's too long kills that crucial sense of urgency. But 12 weeks? It's close enough to feel real and far enough to allow for genuine progress. When you say, I will achieve this in the next 12 weeks, your mind can almost touch the finish line, and that fundamentally changes your daily behavior. Treat each 12-week period like a mini-year. A week becomes your month. A day becomes your week. You shrink the calendar, creating what neuroscientists call neural urgency. Your brain's primitive system recognizes that this matters now. You also create immediate feedback loops. You get frequent signals about whether you're on track, so you can adjust quickly instead of waiting until it's too late. There's another layer to this. Your brain chemistry needs the right mix to sustain high performance. 3 key neurotransmitters work together when things go well. Dopamine, which signals motivation and makes effort feel rewarding. Noradrenaline, also called norepinephrine, which creates a healthy level of alertness and challenge. And acetylcholine, which supports deep focus and attention. This perfect cocktail appears when a goal is specific, slightly challenging, and time-bound. You've felt it before. The night before a big exam, when you suddenly focus for hours without distraction. With 12-week cycles, you can intentionally design that state without waiting for the December panic. So how do we make this practical? First, start with a clear vision. This isn't just a goal, it's a vivid, emotionally charged picture of your life in about 3 years. Your prefrontal cortex, your brain's planning center, needs that picture to guide its choices. You write your vision in the present tense, as if it's already happened, and read it every single morning. Not as a chore, but as fuel to remind your brain why today's actions matter. Now choose 1 to 3 specific, measurable goals for the next 12 weeks that move you toward that vision. Things like lose 5 kilograms, close 10 new clients, or publish 4 articles. Then, break each goal down into weekly actions. These are your tactics, the small behaviors you can control. Maybe it's 20 minutes of cardio 4 times a week, no refined sugar, or write 500 words before checking email. Next, run a simple weekly process. On Sunday, spend 15 minutes planning your week. Decide which actions you'll complete. Every day, do a quick 5-minute check-in to see what's done and what's next. At the end of each week, calculate your execution score, the percentage of planned actions you actually completed. This might sound strict, but it works because behavior follows systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Focus on measuring actions, not outcomes. Outcomes lag. Actions lead. You don't control if you get a promotion this week, but you do control whether you learn a critical skill or hit your deadlines. Tracking actions builds momentum and reduces stress. And don't forget to add accountability. Have a brief weekly meeting with a partner, a small group, or even just a written check-in with yourself. The key is to answer for your commitments. The question shifts from, will I do it, to how will I explain it if I don't? This gentle pressure helps keep your reward circuit awake and your attention on the next right action. To handle the emotional side of change, you have to understand the internal tug-of-war. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detector, loves comfort and sameness. Your prefrontal cortex, which plans for the future, wants growth. Vague goals feed the amygdala because uncertainty feels risky, but a specific emotional vision feeds the prefrontal cortex and calms that fear. By reviewing your vision daily and taking small, concrete steps, you teach your brain that progress is safe and valuable. As you complete your first 12-week cycle, you'll notice a profound change. You're not just hitting goals. You're becoming a different kind of person, someone who keeps promises to themselves. Each action is a vote for your desired identity. If you write daily, you become a writer. If you train consistently, you become an athlete. This identity shift makes the next cycle even easier. You might be thinking, is knowledge the missing piece? Most of the time, it's not. People know the basics of health, money, and skill building. Execution is the bridge. As the psychologist B.F. Skinner said, verbal behavior is cheap. Saying you'll act feels good, but acting is what transforms you. A 12-week system gives you the structure to act even when motivation fades, because it will. Here's how you can begin today. First, write a simple, inspiring 3-year vision. Second, choose up to 3 goals for your first 12-week cycle. Third, list the weekly actions that will get you there. Plan on Sunday, review daily, and score your execution weekly. Add accountability. Then, just run the cycle. At week 13, pause. Review what worked, what didn't, and start the next cycle with what you've learned. If you do this, you'll create a new rhythm for your life. Instead of diluting your effort across 365 vague days, you'll concentrate it into focused, 90-day sprints. You'll stop waiting for December to become your best self. You'll build urgency and meaning into every single week and make every day count. So, choose your first goal for the next 12 weeks. Decide what you are willing to trade for it. Progress has a price, and that price is paid in daily actions. Start today. Your next 12-week cycle can begin right now. Thanks for watching, and if you found this valuable, please subscribe for more content on how to perform at your best.